to him and George Soros. I mean, these guys have got a lot of nerve.
Well, Obama has said very openly it'd be a lot easier to be president if he didn't have to worry about Congress. I mean, what kind of a telegraph statement is that? And these protesters showing up, the Wall Street protesters, this is a group that is an anarchy group. It's a far-left group. Got Michael Moore at the center of it. They're all out there to promote chaos. Obama is going to calculate, just like Odinga did, that if he can cause chaos, it's a way to stay in power. And the whole apparatus, I mean, Bush advanced it with the executive orders I wrote about during George W. Bush's term. If they can cause enough chaos, the president can declare a national emergency, can basically shut down Congress and take over as a dictator. And there's very little anybody can do about it. The powers are there.
And we have the super Congress set up that originates spending bills. In Europe, and I want you to speak to this, they admit it's a, quote, financial dictatorship through the bureaucracy where the Germans have got to pay the bills for all of these derivatives. I mean, we're seeing incredible things happen, and the system's just getting away with it. I want you to speak to that and then segue in to Fast and Furious, because you're always so well read. And we've done past reports here in the last week for viewers, but it's in the El Paso Times, Chicago Tribune, in federal court. The number 2 in the Sinaloa gang gets busted. The Mexican government ships him up here. He declares national security in the meeting and says, for 5 years, but under Obama in the last 3, it's accelerated, I'm allowed with the ATF to ship drugs into the country, and then they ship me firearms. And now we learn it's 2,000 in one sale directly to them. This isn't just letting guns walk. I mean, this is, now we learn it's shipping guns into Chicago, into Tampa. We learned there were almost fistfights at the ATF headquarters in, Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, all of this is in the documents, and this just shows a level of criminality. I mean, normally there's been criminality under Nixon and Bush, and I mean, it's always going under Clinton. But this is so naked. If we know about all of this, what's coming next?
Well, when I wrote about America for Sale, that was a key book to show how the globalists, and I identified the left and the right, Brzezinski and Kissinger, the economists calling for one world economic management through the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Chaos is part of the prediction, is part of the formula. Chaos in the European Union, which most certainly is not going to stay together. Germany's not going to pay for Greece forever. And chaos here in the United States, stock market is going to start trading, I think, in October at under 10,000. Would not surprise me at all to see the stock market head back to the 6,000 level.
Wow.
It was in before we had this recent rise. That we're into a double dip recession. And the globalists see this as part of the formula to create chaos, to force people to be willing to accept radical solutions. And the radical solutions will be the end of the dollar, the use of the International Monetary Fund special drawing rights as an alternative to the dollar and the world currency markets for international trade. It's all orchestrated. Now, when you get down to the illegality, I mean, the Fast and Furious, this is rampant, and it goes right to the top of the White House. This is not going on without Obama's knowledge. It's not going on without the administration at the very top approving it. And Alex, anybody who thinks that billions of dollars of drugs are getting into the United States and law enforcement doesn't know where they are. I mean, the Obama administration has virtually said, we're not going to deport any illegal aliens unless they've already committed a second crime. So you've got ignoring of the laws on a rampant mode going on in the border right now. And the Border Patrol agents will lose their jobs if they too strictly enforce the law. There's a lot of wink-wink. I mean, it's shocking. Sending guns to Mexico, where you think, well, this is insane. And you realize, wait a minute, there may be a larger plan here. There's a lot of drugs coming to the United States, a lot of drugs that could be stopped. There's a lot of guns going to Mexico, guns that we don't have to ship them. I mean, if we really were serious about stopping the Mexico drug cartels, I think we could do it very quickly with adequate military force on the border. We don't intend to stop it because there's too many people making money from it. And the people making money from the drug trade are not limited to the criminals outside of government. That's the shocking reality.
Well, you're right. I was driving back yesterday, and we heard the report earlier with my family from the beach inside the United States, South Padre, and I came to a checkpoint right at 100 miles from the Mexican border. We showed a Google map earlier, and they have these internal checkpoints where they harass citizens, and they were just going up and putting dogs in people's cars. And they got to me, and I said, no, I'm not going to let you do that. And they backed off, but not until I said, look, you know the government ships guns into Mexico and drugs up here. And I was going to start elaborating, hey, I know the Border Patrol's been told to let in certain shipments from Sinaloa. And the guy just said, okay, fine. He smiled and said, you can go. I mean, look, the game is over. It's a joke. Now, looking at this, I haven't seen in 3+ years of Obama being in office what you were able to do, what you and Joseph Farah were able to do. And the desperateness of Esquire coming out and running a hoax saying you apologized, the book was a fraud, and it was recalled to try to bankrupt you guys, not just at your wholesale, but at retail. And I know there's that big lawsuit, and I want to ask you about that. But if he'll say stage riots in Kenya with his cousin because he didn't get elected, of course he'll stage riots here. And I see them trying to co-opt anger at Wall Street instead of going right at the heart, the big mega banking cartel that is the private Federal Reserve. So briefly speak to the difference between a Main Street bank or the thousands of stocks traded on Wall Street that are legitimate companies versus the insiders who do get the tens of trillions in our bailout money, who are always the same big Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, that I see financing the carbon taxes, financing the police state, financing the move to the governor's councils. I mean, if we're going to protest, quote, Wall Street, what do you see as an effective challenge to it? Then I want to get into the latest on the birth certificate and the new book that's coming out.
Well, first of all, I just want to emphasize that the birth certificate issue is not going away. And Obama knows that we've got him cornered. And in fact, we can prove that the birth certificate that was released is a forgery. And this investigation Sheriff Joe Arpaio is conducting in Maricopa County is a serious law enforcement investigation that the Obama people within the White House are worried about. They understand its implications. I mean, let's take a look at the full situation here. What you've got is Obama's realizing, and the Democratic Party is realizing, Obama cannot be reelected. They're not going to produce jobs. Unemployment. This is not a recession. This is what globalism looks like.
By the way, you and I were saying this a year ago that he might not. Now it's in the Washington Post, the New York Times. They're saying, don't run again. Don't run again. Please continue.
Well, Obama's one choice is don't run again and bring in Hillary and let Hillary come back and, the savior, let the Republicans compete against Hillary. And the Republicans know that's a scenario. They don't want to deal with it. It's why Boehner, the Congress, will not investigate the birth certificate. They don't want to see Obama go. They want to run against Obama. But Obama knows that he's going to be found out. He knows that fraud and felony have been committed here, and birth certificate information has been forged on Obama. We can prove it without any doubt. It's been admitted to.
Well, obviously, they would have just ignored your book and not had a big, giant national announcement. I mean,
Correct.
If your book was baloney, you wouldn't respond to it. I mean, you have the President of the United States involved in an elaborate press conferences and releases and biggest story in the country, and then you get the thing, and it looks like my 8-year-old son made it.
Well, and take a look at where's the birth certificate book. It's got 125 exhibits in it. I've been researching Obama since 2006, and the White House knows very well that when I'm researching and investigating something, it's solid. You can look at the documentary evidence yourself. It's right in the book. Now, the choice Obama's going to have is pull out and let Hillary come in, and the Obama people are going to play out the chaos card. They're going to say, maybe we can cause enough chaos that in fact we can cancel the election, we can convince the American people it's not the time to transition power, and the White House is going to think about seriously having a national emergency or race riots or class riots, anything that can cause chaos.
So they're thinking about a Roosevelt-type move. They've got the super Congress in place, they've got the Governor's Council in place, and they're trial ballooning it everywhere.
And it's an administration that doesn't care about the Constitution. Constitution might as well have already been shredded as far as Obama's concerned. Obama knows he's not eligible to be president. His father was born in Kenya. He couldn't pass the same test that the Senate gave
By
to
the way, the
John
father,
McCain.
as you know, and the uncle right now look nothing like him.
Well, and in fact, the Immigration and Naturalization Service, we have the papers now, said that if Obama Sr., the father, was going to use that he was married to an American citizen and had an American child as the reason to extend his stay, the INS was going to contest it because they didn't believe that Barack Obama Sr. was married to Ann Dunham. They couldn't find the marriage papers or certificate any more than I could find them, and they didn't believe this was his child. But to get back to the point, Obama knows what the truth is. Obama knows he's going to be found out. It's why Obama is acting so frightened within the White House.
Okay, well, then, listen, in closing, we only got 2 minutes left, and I appreciate your time, and I'm going to give you the floor. What is he going to do? What is the establishment going to do? And how did they think that they could put this fraud in? Or was Obama always the fake crisis? Is Obama himself the false flag?
Well, Obama is a false flag. Obama is the major point of my book, Where's the Birth Certificate, is we don't know who this guy is. And he has made the payoffs. Before Obama goes, just track all of this stimulus money. See how much of this green money has gone to Goldman Sachs, to Obama bundlers, and you'll realize pretty soon that all this green money is a sham, just like the climate exchange was a sham. But the Democrats ran it. Franklin Raines had the contract to bring into the federal home loan bank system.
Just pure looting.
Pure looting. They're going to take as much money as they can before they crash the system. They're going to benefit themselves. And this Warren Buffett nonsense about a tax on the rich is also just another subterfuge. Warren Buffett doesn't pay any taxes anywhere. They've got all kinds of foundations. He and Bill Gates, they say they gave their money away. They gave it to charities they control.
And their money's getting bigger. I've seen the statistics.
Right.
They only give them the profit on it to charity. It's the old tax-free foundation. So here's my question here. Will they get away with this? Because clearly they're behaving like they know that their time is short. And what type of tricks, because you've been accurate in the past, do you expect them to try to pull, and how do we stop them?
Well, I think the day of reckoning is coming close, because I think the evidence is going to be out very soon that Obama forged the birth certificate. And it's going to be very difficult to get past that one. You've got this Fast and Furious, you've got Cylinder and all the other scandals. They aren't going away. So the crises, I expect more chaos in the streets with this Wall Street gang of leftists. I expect race riots before we're done. I expect economic collapse of a nature we haven't seen since the Great Depression, and a move by Obama to cancel the election, which has already been tried in a trial balloon. But I don't think they're going to succeed, because I think the American people, through shows like you're doing, what we're doing in WND, bringing the truth to people, we published Where's the Birth Certificate? It made a birth certificate despite the White House trying to shut it down. And I don't think the White House is going to be able to evade the truth in the final analysis, but it's going to be bloody before it's done.
Well, his approval ratings show that, the lowest of any president ever at this point, and there's no way he can survive another year. So they're going to have to stage some crises, as Robert Shapiro wrote in the Washington Post. He also made similar comments in the Financial Times of London. They've got all these advisors saying we need an event to blame it on the Tea Party. I think that's their ace in the hole, amongst other things. And it's clear he's not acting like somebody who's being paid off or something. He's acting desperate. Clearly, he's being blackmailed. Even Glenn Beck 6 months ago had to admit that some of these big foundations are openly saying they are getting ready to frame the true conservative libertarian movement in this country for domestic events. Are you concerned about leftist stage terror?
Yes, that's a possibility. But what I'm really thinking is that, when Bill Clinton plays golf with Obama, making it clear life will be a lot better after the White House, and a big payoff is in store. They're going to cause chaos. You're going to see some of the greatest chaos we've seen in this country since the 1930s or the 1960s. That's coming down the road very soon. And Obama, if he does bow out, is going to bow out with a big payday. But the American people, I think, are finally seeing through this charade to understand it's a globalist staged event. We do not have to be in this economic crisis. And the powers that be, Goldman Sachs, I assure you, is going to emerge whole, even if all the other people who put their money in Wall Street are going to be taking a bath.
Sure, they're trying to have a huge power grab out of the crisis they've created. But is Michael Moore going too far, making $200 million over his career? Is all these other people calling for communism and re-education camps, trying to sell us that as the solution, more of the same poison. Is